All right. So this is something that we'll do today, but I would like to just review from our last week, which was our week 7, because there are a few things that I want to discuss in that one, and I have discussed it in the morning session as well. But I would definitely discuss it with you as well. Okay. So so how many of you had a chance to look at the part 2 of the last week? Can you just give me a feedback after this? Yes, from that Meher, Deep. Did you have a chance to look at the part 2 of week 7? Because I have covered up some of the. Okay, that's good. There are so many people who are saying yes. Okay, let's say you have just seen that today. So if you had a chance to look at that, I have discussed how to access. So there are a few things that I have added over here. But if you see that, like last recording, I have just told you that how can we access some element in our HTML, and not only we can access the element, we can also just implement some of the behavioral aspects of that one, and we can just we can implement some of the styling, some of the there were so many things. And one of the thing I'll just show you that what we have done. Okay, I will just take away that part which was discussed. So what I'll do is that I'll just create a new code for you, because this is something new. Okay, something that new that I have discussed. I'll just tell you that we usually do that. We associate an event of load with window, that when everything gets loaded, then a function should run. So what we do is that we try to just place our all logic, the all code of our program. We try to put that into this window.add event listener load function. So what it does is that whenever our window gets loaded, window means the main object that we have. When it gets loaded, it basically fires this event and fires this function, and we keep all the code that we want to run into our program. We just usually keep that inside our document, right? And again, this is some code that I have just added for today, but I will just let you know. I'll just give you some good sense of that one. So the first thing, okay, so what I'm doing for NEE section that we usually do that. Sorry about that. So for NEE section, I'll just create a new document and I'll call it July 5. Let's call it July 5 because it would be used by excuse me, other sections as well. And I would like to create the script as well, right? July5.js, right? So these are the two files for today. And I will give you some previous practice, like the thing that we have done already before, and I will give you some few things new that we will be just doing today, and we will just try to work our way on that one. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so if you remember that in our last last week's sessions, we have started programming DOM. We say that we can do updates in HTML by using the DOM, document object model. That's an API for that same purpose. And we saw that DOM does what? DOM creates a tree of HTML elements and text nodes. And when we do want to program in the DOM, what we do is that we have got these 4 steps that we follow. The first step is finding references of the elements. Second step is so again, in that we have multiple methods. We have one of the method called document.get element by ID. Then we have document.query selector. Then we have document.query selector. All these are all the methods. When we say that selector, we talk about there are 3 types of selector. One is tag, one is ID, one is class. And if you are selecting an ID, use hash. If you are selecting a class, you will be using a dot, and like that. So the second part was creating and adding, removing elements. Document.create element. We have talked about that. And the second step for that one was that adding that to or appending that to any of the components in our document, right? And the third part was inspecting and modifying elements and their contents. We can just modify the contents. There were lots of things that we have done. We have done some interesting part, and I will just give you some examples over here as well, that we can just do that. But today I will just discuss some new things. Running scripts against the events. Whenever some event happens, we will be running some of the scripts. So those who have just looked at part 1 and 2 of week 7, they would have seen that we have discussed all of that, and we created a document. And that document was, I'll show you that document now. because I have added few new things, but I will just show you in general what was this document doing. So you remember that I created this document. I told you that whenever I click on somewhere, it tells you the mouse position, the X and Y. And if I click, okay, so you know why it is there's no picture over here? Because I added some. I'll just take that away. I added some new things that I will discuss it with you, and I'm taking them away from here. This is something that I have discussed in the morning, right? So that's why it is just removing that, and I'll tell you that what I have done. Okay, so picture is here, and you remember I can just click on this, click me, and this keeps on just changing the picture. And just forget about this no time. And this was load cards that loads all the data from our pictures.js. Remember everyone, from pictures.js we have just taken this class.jpg. So how many, again, you have said that you guys have, most of you have looked at the lecture, but I would just like to have a quick feedback from everyone, just to remember that I have done this one in the program, and you know that how this X position is coming over here, X and Y position, it is telling us about the mouse. And when I'm clicking on this, the picture keeps on changing. When I click on load more cards, it is just bringing all the data from this cards.jpg pictures.js, which is cards, and there are 5 elements, so it just brings up those 5 elements and creates them over here. Okay, you have which one is broken for you? It's broken. You can just fix that one up. No, it just repeats that, it just keeps on doing that one. Yeah, so it just yeah, we need to just handle that one as well, but right now it just keeps on doing that one, right? And we might not want to just do that. But again, see here, I'm clicking on this one, this works for me. And what I'll do is that today, so those Letison, those who have looked at the lecture, they might understand that other than you. So can I have a quick feedback that you understand that how it is all happening, how this OL is being created, and how this picture is changing, and how the mouse position is coming? How many of you understand that? Can you write a yes in the chat window? Those Hangi, you have seen that. And you are okay, Datmeher, you have seen that. That's wonderful. Romar has Letison understands that. That's wonderful. Can you understand that? That's wonderful. So what I'll do today, so yes, Smith, have you seen that lecture? Part 1, part 2, because you cannot say 50-50 if you have looked at the part 2, because part 2, we have just discussed all these things, how to create a new element and how to just, append that, and how this for each will be working. Anyhow, so what I'll do is that I will just I'm creating a brand new document today. And this is July5.js and July5.html. I will work in both of these two. Okay, so this, because I have to discuss few new things, so that's why I'm just using that one. So just call this July5 document. And here just I'll give you an H1. Practicing DOM more, right? So we are just practicing DOM more. And I will run this July5 HTML because I want to show you this. Now that I don't want this one. Right. So this is H1, and then I will just place, for example, a paragraph over here. And I might say a lorem here. Again, that we can have a lorem here. Let me make it word wrap. I have a lorem. I can place a picture over here, img, and src is equal to, I'll see that I have multiple pictures here, so I can bring any of the picture, and I can give it a width. Width is equal to 300, something like that. So we've got a picture as well. And you remember, I always do that in my documents so that my document looks a bit cooler, bit prettier. What we do is that we usually bring one of the CSS. We just implement a CSS over there. Even though I will start CSS today, but you remember we can include water CSS over here, so that water CSS, so just to make our document looks a bit prettier, right? So I'll just go to the water CSS and I'll copy this one and I'll paste this after the title, just for nothing, so that my document looks a bit more cooler, right? Like this. Okay, this picture looks very bad. Oh, sorry, July 5. So rather than cartoon, let's take card.jpg. So this is card. This looks much better. Okay, so this is a document that we have, and what we did was that we just started creating some buttons, and we second, yes, you are allowed to do so, because you have to submit that by 12th July. So second, you can do that. You can implement that if you want. If you want to do that. All right. So So you remember that we created few buttons over there before this picture, and I'll just try to create maybe one button and change. I'll just say the change. So we have a button, and after that, I'll just put a break line break. So I can give it this button an ID. ID is equal to BTN. So I'm just giving an ID of BTN. Now listen about that. What I was telling everyone. Make it a habit. Okay, I have not connected my script till now, right? So let me just check that whether I am connecting the script. The script is working. At the bottom, just go and write a script src, and I'll say July5.js. Right? And let's check that whether it is working. And how to check that? Do alert. If I do alert is working, it means that my file is very much connected. So it can make sense. My file is now connected, and I can just remove this alert because now my JavaScript file is very much connected to my CSS like HTML file. Make sense, everyone? What we are doing? I just wanted to show you that what we are doing, and I will just try to. So what I was telling everyone, that there is one very important event. See here, and you remember that we have talked about that. There was a problem that was going on, and I'll show you that problem. So if I say document, if I say var button equal to document dot query selector, document dot query selector, and what is that query selector I want to discuss? I want to access BTN. Remember BTN. You know what I mean? I want to access this BTN, the button. Where is that button? It's here. You know what I mean? I have got access of that button, and in a variable which is called button over here. You can call this variable anything you want, right? You know that you can say it anything. But after that, if I say button dot add event listener, remember everyone, I want to attach an event with the click that when someone clicks on it, run a function. And an event, those who have looked at the video, they know how this event is very, very important, E or EVT. Daniel, if you have looked at the lecture, you would know that what is this E. That is event which is clicked. When we click it, this event is generated. Anyhow, what I want to do in this one, for example, I would like to say, the purpose right now, and what we have done previously as well. The purpose is that I want to change this picture on the click, right? I want to change this picture. So now for that, I will have to give an ID to this picture as well. ID is equal to, for example, I will say pic, the picture, right? So, and I would like to access that picture as well over here. So I'll say, okay, picture equal to document dot query selector and hash pic. Okay, listen, it's not like, you can name it anything you want. It's just up to you. You can say ID is equal to pick one, but ID is something that is all on your disposal. I can even write my name over here. You know what I mean? I can write IMG, image, something like that. Let's say, are you getting that? It's right, but since we are adding multiple, I thought about it. Exactly, you're right. You're right. That's wonderful. If you want to give that, okay, but again, it really does not make any difference what you are giving. And if you are saying pick one, of course, you will have to access it by pick one. Make sense, Latisan? Of course, we have to access that one. So now picture has got my picture reference as well. And you remember what I did was I said, okay, picture dot src equal to, right, and again car3.jpg. So what I'm saying that whenever someone clicks on this button, this picture should go, picture should become car3.jpg. Let's click on this one. It is not working. It means that I have some problem in my. So this is JP, not JPG, JPEG pictures. Like their extension is JPEG. So if I click on that, you see that picture has changed. Make sense, everyone? So now what is happening? Whenever I click on this button, the picture changes. And you remember we did a programming, which I'll do very quickly. And we said that next image or the next car URL. You remember we'll create a function that will bring these URLs from my pictures.js. Remember, everyone? We have this, .js, from where I will just bring my pictures. So I will say next car URL and current car index equals to 0. And again, this is a variable I'm defining. So I'll say var current car index equal to 0, right? And now I create the function. Function next car URL. I'm creating this function right now. So whenever this function is called, the first thing that happens is, for example, current car index plus plus. Increment that current car index. Yes, I can imagine we can use random to make it random. Yeah, exactly. We can do that as well. Or we can do second, but we are doing right now. So I have said that current car index is equal to this one. And I say return cars of current car index. You know what I mean? Take one of the value from this picture, for example, whatever is the value, and just return that one to that one. So, okay, if I click on this one now, so again, next car URL. Did I forget something? Okay, function next URL, next car URL. Current car index is equal to plus plus. Okay, what no more cars text? Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You know why it is not working? That's why it's not working, because I have not included this pictures file over here. Letizen, does that make sense? Because I have not included this picture, so it does not know what is car. And you know, how would I know that? I can know that by the console as well. If I go to console, you see, cars is not defined. Are you guys getting that one? Because I have not included the reference of this picture.js in my HTML file. It's not understanding that. So again, you remember, I told you I can just add that over here. Script src is equal to pictures.js. You know what I mean? Now that should be recognized by my file. Let's click on this one. You see the picture gets changed. Picture gets changed. So everyone is understanding that. Even those who have not looked at that, looked at previous lecture, they will understand. They will be understanding this one. Are you getting that? When I click on that, they go and find out one URL and place that URL over here. And after that, putting that URL, the picture source changes to that one. And now, as someone was saying, I think it was Defison, I need to check that if current car index equals, maybe 3 times equals, right? Cars dot length. So if current car index is equal to -1, and you know, remember it always starts with the 0. Is 0 sorry. If equal to this one, what you do? You do what? You say that current car index equal to 0. So again, wrap it around, right? Wrap it around. Whenever it reaches to the end, just reset that one. Yeah. So if I click on this one, you see that now pictures will keep on appearing and they will keep on repeating as well. Right. So this is basically doing what? You are just, you know, finding out that, okay, what picture we have and what pictures we will be just, you know, having that that one. Right. So this was something that we have done. So we just click on that one and it keeps on changing the picture. Some of you might be thinking why they are changing the size, but we'll talk about that size. I did not have to talk about this, by the way. I had to talk about something else, and I can do that same thing also as well. If you remember that I did one more thing, that if I want to just print all those data over here, should we always put a script element at the end of the body? Hengi, yes, for the time being, just understand that, and I'll show you that one. Okay, so Hengi, this is the right time to discuss that thing. If I'm clicking on this works. Now Hengi has asked a question. If I take this script from bottom of the body, end of the body, and I put it in the start, and I'm telling you this, right? And this is very important. You should understand that. If I put that over here, and if I click on change, you see that my picture is not changing. Let's say I'll tell you, it is not changing. Why it is not changing? Just go and find out in inspector console. Cannot read properties of null. It says I'm not understanding what you are trying to do. What is happening? Before this, you know, before this document, this script has been added, and we are running this script even before the document gets loaded. You know what I mean? That is one good reason. What we do, we try to place this script. Number one, what we do, we try to place the script at the bottom first of all. One solution, it should work fine now. You see, now it is recognizes. There is another solution that I would like to mention over here. And the other solution is, if I place it over here, of course it should not work. It is not working. Why? Because The DOM tree is not created and it is trying to access the DOM tree. The car is not created. This pick one is not created and it is trying to access the pick one. Hangi, are you getting the point? It is trying to access this car even though car is not present over there. Okay, now listen about that. That is one solution that I was telling this morning. I told the student, and I'm telling you about that as well. One of the solution is that there is something called a window object, the main window object. So we attach an event with the window, and that event is called load event. And in this load event, we run a function, and remember that function should have an event inside that one. And we try to place our all code inside this one. You will see why. I'll cut this call code, which is before this one, cut this one, and paste it inside the body of this function. And now let's check it. Do you see that even though that my script is still at the top of the page, but do you see that it typically is doing what? That it is effective in terms of loading that first. No, autofocus does not work. Listen, I try to understand it this way. Now I have handled that one, that unless the load event occurs for the window is completely loaded, don't run this function. Listen, first of all, try to understand that. Are you getting that one? Unless the load is done, unless the all window is loaded, all browser is loaded, like all tree is loaded, don't execute this function. You understand that one? If I take this thing away, which it was happening before, again, I'll do that for you for a second. Control X. I take it out and I place it over here and I put that on comment. Let's try to understand what happens. So now it is a normal text and my script is called and the head. Now, when the script gets loaded, script is looking for this hash button and hash pick one. Listen, are you getting that? Hash btn and hash pick one, which are the IDs which exist on my HTML page. Now, since head always executes first, and when I get this July 5 script running, it does not find this btn and hash pick. Why? Because the document is not loaded. Listen, you understand that? I want everyone else to understand. Everyone else is understanding that. What's the reason behind that? Because btn and pick are not present, and that's why what it says. See here, what is the error? The console gives the error that cannot read properties of null. I don't know what is the null. I don't know what is this btn. Listen, I will discuss that, but right now, are you understanding? Again, I would discuss that, but right now, are you understanding? But I'm just trying to explain here. Can you go with it? And I'll just we'll just discuss that. Okay. So now if you go over here and if I see that we have got this now new, like this is one method, handle all those things. So you will never need to just focus. You will never need to just worry about when it will happen, because now this document will only execute. This script will only execute when the load has happened. And when the load has happened, it means that btn pick one will already be there. Got everyone? Now, so today I wanted to discuss two new methods. And again, yes, I wanted to do one more thing over here. I'll just do that over here because just to give you practice. I would like to just bring all that URLs over here as I was doing over there. So just to give you practice, those who have not attended the class. So for that, I'll go to in my document and I'll just create a paragraph with data ID. So I just created a paragraph with data ID because I will bring that data over here, right? And let's put it before picture. Before picture, I just place that, right? So I just created a data ID. Now, if I go to July 5 and I do one very interesting thing. I say that var OL, just create a new OL. Document dot create element and just create an element of OL, ordered list. Are you understanding that? Create an ordered list. After creating an ordered list, take all the URLs from this, one after the other, and for every URL, create one LI over here. You know what I mean? Create one LI for that one. Now, to run for, like for example, let's first of all do it very simple way. If I say var li equal to document dot create element li, I'm just creating another li element is created. Now if I say li dot inner text equal to, now tell me how many of you understand cars of 0. I'm just giving hard code value, cars of 0. Letizen, looks like you move a bit faster. I'm definitely coming to it. I will definitely come to it. I would definitely automate that. Just bear with me. I'm saying that I'm just doing manual way, then I'll do it automating. So what I've done, I have just taken cars of 0. Cars of 0 means just go and bring the first URL and put it as the inner text of li. And now, yes, exactly. OL dot append child and append li into this one, right? And the story does not end over here. I just created the OL. I want to append it to my data part, document dot query selector. And I have a data part over there. Do you remember that we have a data part over here? This data part, right? So append that, or make the append child for this one, dot append child. And what child I want to append over here? OL, the newly created ordered list that I have created. Make sense, everyone? Now let's see if it works. You see that it is bringing up, but it is only bringing up one URL. This is the first URL, cars of 0. If I say cars of 1, it will just bring up the second URL. And of course, as someone was asking, can we automate that one? Of course, we will be automating that. We won't be doing this manual way, because it means that I will have to create li dot, and that's a very bad thing. What I'll do, rather, I will come over here and I will say cars dot for each. Everyone understanding that? Cars dot for each. For each accepts a function, and it will take one URL or one value at a time, and it will run this function. Now see here, what I can do now, I can cut this all from here and paste inside the body of this function. And not cars of 1 now. What I can write over here is, second, I have done that in the last session, by the way, URL. It should be URL over here. Letizen, are you understanding this? Cars dot for each function, take out one URL at a time and create an li, and just inner text is equal to URL, and append that one, and in the end append that child to one. Now see here. Now you know that this is very dynamic. Dynamic means if I cut, for example, 2 addresses from here, for example, just cut them and save that. And if I click on this one, you see that only 3 comes out. Everyone understanding that? This is something which is happening over here. By the way, it was not, do you want to make this into an embedded link as well? Exactly. You remember we have done that in the last class. I didn't want to do that. But by the way, if you want to make it an embedded link as well, there are multiple ways. I created an A tag, but you can do it this way as well. If you use a backtick, like 2 backticks over here, and see here. And by the way, since we are embedding an HTML, I have to just, bring an inner HTML. So I'll come over here and I'll say a href equal to $URL. And I will just write a URL over here as well, URL, and I'll close an A. Letizen, are you understanding? Second, I'll come to your question as well. Letizen, are you understanding that? Now this will become a link as well. And of course, you need to change this inner HTML, the 2 URLs, not the 2 URL, whatever URLs are there, they all will become the link as well. Okay, this is one way. But if you look at the lecture, last week lecture, I have created by A tag separately. I've created that, then put it href. You can do that multiple ways, right? By the way. And by the way, I can just give another thing. I can just say So right now, if I just open it, you see that it will open in the same window. It is opening the same window, which is bad because it just loses the focus and everything. So what I'll do is that I'll come over here and I'll say target equal to underscore blank. You remember not even need inverted commas over here. Target underscore blank. So if you see here, now if I click on this one, the picture will open in a new tab. You see picture is opening in a new tab. Second, is that making sense? This is quite an interesting one. We have got all the data over here. And second, ask a question. Is okay. A question: how can we give a text to the embedded link instead, like Porsche, BMW, etc.? So that yeah, exactly. You're right. So let's listen for that. You need to make a program. Maybe you need to just create, rather than using an array, you might be using then an object of JavaScript. The JavaScript object, and that will have a key value mapping, and you just bring up the key and you connect it with the map. Map. You know what I mean? You can just do that by that way. You'll have to just introduce a lot of thing over there. So right now it is just getting exactly. So that's what. Okay, second says absolutely, that's understood. Okay, I did not want to discuss this one. I want to discuss today two more functions which are called timer functions, and they are quite interesting functions. You see, set timeout and set interval, and you will really love these functions. Set timeout and set interval functions are very interesting one. And what this set timeout function does, it accepts a function in a parameter and some time. Same way set interval. Let's talk about set timeout first. What set timeout does, and again, by the way, I'm doing everything inside this function, so I'll just go this inside that one, right? Set timeout function. So if I say set timeout, it generates this, but I'll just remove that. Okay, and it accepts a function. Exactly. It accepts a function, and after comma, it accepts some timing in milliseconds. So 2000 means 2 seconds I'm talking about. I don't want this over here. Set timeout will work fine. If you see here, set timeout function, this function, I would like you to just focus on this one, because sometimes, exactly. So it will have, after 2 seconds, it should do something. So for example, if I come over here and I say after 2 seconds, do what? Document.title equal to 2 seconds passed. Right? So I'm just changing the title of that one. So see here, my document. Do you see that my title has changed after 2 seconds? Let me just do that again. July 5, 2 seconds passed. Exactly. Yes, Letison, we will be using whatever timing thing you will be used, you will do that. If you just put the change function there, it will change that. Exactly, Letison. Letison, do you have a rocky stone in your hand? I would like to present my head in front of you. You just throw it from your computer. Hopefully it should reach my head directly. I hope you understand what I mean. So I'll talk about that. Of course, I'll come to that, right? But that's a nice observation. Now I'd like to tell you other things. I can do so many interesting things. If you see in my document, for example, I have this data which is created, data ID. See here what I'm doing. I'll say document dot query selector hash data dot remove. You'll say, okay, what does that mean? I'll show you what happens. If I bring this one, it removes. it's 2 seconds is very small. I'll say 5 seconds, 5,000 milliseconds. If I click on this change one, my text appears, and see what happens with my tree. I've not heard from anyone else than Letison and Sagan. Looks like those two are only wake up, or rest everyone is sleeping. And Letison is going in a F-16 speed, jet speed. Everyone else there in the class? Hello. There are more than Smith Kumar is there. They're good. 16 people. There are 16, 14 people. Okay, that match. We had Hofang as well. I don't see Hofang. Okay, Ariane, Hofang, how are you? That's good. So do you understand what's going on? After 5 seconds, do what? Just do these kind of things. Even I can do another thing. I have a button over here. So BTN, I can just remove that from the tree as well. I come over here and I say, and I have, by the way, I have got the reference of button already. This is button. So I'll come over here and say the button dot remove. After 5 seconds, remove the button as well. So now see here, if I click on this, the text appears, everything goes away. And as someone was saying, you create a game, you create an environment where you say that timer. After that timer, the thing will go away. Makes sense, everyone? Then after a few times, this will go away, and you have to just click on that one, and unless you click that. So this is called set timeout. Now I'll try to match the speed of Lethison now. Now one more thing. We have a picture over here which changes the source when I click on the button. Exactly, which changes the source. Can I do something over here rather than doing all these destructive work? If I just make it comment, rather than making this destructive work, I come over here and I say picture dot src equal to next car URL. You know what I mean? See here, what happens? I'm not clicking on the button. My mouse is away. Lethison, that's what you wanted to ask, right? Okay. So this is the one that now set timer. But there is a problem. Set timer only runs once. And again, yeah, you're right. And again, that it only runs once. But if you see that, okay, it will just, it will change that after the second. Now for that, we have the other function. I'll just, comment it out for a second. We have the other one that is called set interval. Now what set interval does, it accepts a function. And again, after how much time? Okay, for example, I say after 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, do something. Picture dot src equal to next car URL. And by the way, what we have done? We have created a slider over here. Now let's save that. And now see here. I'm not clicking anything. My mouse is away. Next picture. Next picture. Yeah, it's an infinite loop. By the way, you're right. And by the way, 5 seconds is too much. Let's make it 1 second. That will be good. Now, second, can you see that how easy it is to make a banner or something which is a sliding banner or something over here? Size does really matter. Size is not that good. But again, we'll do that. We'll handle that as well. And if I tell you, those who are familiar with a little bit CSS, they will understand that. If I just implement a class over here on this function, okay. If I just implement a class over here in my image, I say class equal to picture class or picture, something like that. If I implement a class and I give it a style, styling will handle this one. I'll show you. If I come over here, and please don't worry about that because we have to discuss this today. So if I say style and I say dot picture, I'm defining a class picture. And what do? Like give it a width of 300 and height of 300, something like that. Just give width and height of 300 and 300. Now, okay, now it's not working. Why? Because I have to give the pixel as well over here, right? It won't work with that. So you see here. Okay, it does not look good. Very prettier. Yes, we can make it round as well. We can make it round. You want to make it round? Okay, we'll talk about that in we'll talk about that in our CSS class. But since he has asked, so Sagan has asked, so I'll try that for you. Sagan, see here. Second, you understand what's happening? I'll tell you this is because we have to start CSS today. But you see, border radius equal to 50%. So I have made it border radius is equal to 50%, and it just goes away. How many of you understand that? Again, this is the styling, and I don't want to talk. I didn't want to talk about this one, but anyhow, since it has come, so we are just talking about that. Yeah, exactly, for a profile picture. That means there is no there is no star, like it's like smaller like there is no minimum or maximum. But of course, you would like to have a 10-minute or 20 minutes or so. Yes, you can, but you can give that. So for example, if I change it to 10,000, it means I'm talking about 10 seconds now. So you see that my picture will remain there for 10 seconds. You see, after 10 seconds, it will change to the other one. Yeah. So let's make it to not even 2 seconds. Let's make it to 3 seconds. 3 seconds look a bit more realistic. So for 3 seconds, it will just keep on. So you guys understood set interval and set timeout functions? That's good. I would like to have feedback from others as well. Yeah, Lattice CSS is really fun because, and that fun, we are about to start that fun, right? By the way, we are about to start that fun. But, and this is the CSS, a little CSS that we have just done, and you see how good it has become. It has just changed this all over. Daniel, that's a good question. Daniel, I'll have to just look into that one. I don't know about that. If there is a way to do that for our, for timeout, can we ask user input to get another 5 seconds? I'm not sure I'm making sense of your question. Again, for timeout, can we ask user input to get another 5 seconds? Oh, you mean that if user gives some input and you increase the time? Second, you want to say that? Yeah, that you want to increase the time if user says okay, or increase the time or something like that. Yeah. So that's very much possible. But second, for that you will have to do another programming. For example, in a form, you will take input from the user and you will dynamically pass that. For example, over here, that if user gives some value, pass that. Otherwise, stop that after 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Second, yes, you are right. You can do that. You will just take the value for for example, this set interval will go in somewhere in if and elsing. So if user gives something, you will have to just do that. Otherwise, you will not do that, right? Latika, you want to say something? And when user inputs, yeah, exactly. User inputs and or something like that. So there are lots of logics that you can do, and there are lots of interesting things that you can do, right? So this is I wanted to discuss this one, and I have just created a new document all over for you. But I think this is a good review of the last week. But anyhow, you should understand that this was not supposed to be our topic for today. Our topic for today was supposed to be CSS, by the way. Yes, Latisan, you should go and create those slot machines or whatever you want to create. And yeah, so now I will move to our I'll move to new folder. Which is week 10, not week 10, sorry. It should be week 9, right? Okay, so we are starting CSS, and that is a very interesting one. As you know, that CSS is fun, and really you will enjoy this if you start making, if you start, we are learning that one, and you will see that how much CSS is important for our web pages. So in good old days, HTML was also responsible for styling till HTML4. HTML4, we had font tag, we have some different tags that could use to do some of the styling as well over there. But then in HTML5, the CSS introduced cascading style sheets. What are cascading style sheets? Let me, they have just given a very nice example. There is a website which is called csszengarden.com. This is a website that provides us with some data, and we can implement different styles to see how this website will look like in different ways. So for example, if I say CSS Zen Garden /100, something like that. So see here, this is the same text and everything, just the style has gone changed. You see how much CSS has changed it. If I come over here, CSS Zen Garden, and if I say 200, something like that. So this is another style. You know what I mean? The same text. If you look at that, text is same, and people have applied different styles on that one. CSS Zen Garden /123, something like that. There are so many lots of designs. Do you see that? The beauty of CSS design. These are mostly user made. These are mostly user made. You know, users have implemented the stylings on that. So there are lots of styles that we can just implement. And to make you understand styling, I will start with so first of all, so see here, CSS cascading style sheet. CSS works with rules. You would have seen that the rules that I just shared with you, right? So CSS works with rules. And what is the rule? Rule contains of a selected and the rule by itself, the key value pair that represents the rule. So CSS works this way. What is the selector and what is the key value pair of the rule? I will tell you by using a very interesting website over here. All of you just open this website, codepen.io. Codepen.io. Now, in that one, if you click on this start coding, you'll get a very neat way of doing a lot of things. This is a very neat way. We have HTML, we have CSS, and we can just work on that one. And it is a just-in-time compilation. It will just give you a quick out. Yes, exactly, Aaron. This is live testing. Now, if I come over here and if I say H1, hello Seneca, right? I have an H1. So you see, just in time, it will show me, okay, hello Seneca will represent it like this. Okay, if I come over here and if I give it a P and I say this is fun to work in CodePen. Okay, I'll just give an H2 and I will say another heading. And I'll say another fun text part. Right, so this is just just in time compilation. It will show us different things. Now, what is this CSS rule that I'm talking about? A selector and a key value pair. First of all, a selector comes. So I will say H1, just H1 without any tag sign. I want to apply that style. I'm telling you how CSS rules are written. H1 and then curly brackets come. And inside curly brackets, we give some rule. How come we give some rule in a way that first of all, a property comes, a key, and then a value comes, the key value mapping. Do you see already that effect of on my H1? My H1 has gone blue, the color blue. If I come over here, there are other properties as well. There is a one property background color. And if I say, for example, light gray, something like that, I'll just later on we'll see. You see that my H1 has now background light gray. In this rule, this H1 is called selector. And after curly brackets, these key value pairs are called the rules that I want to apply on that selector. I won't answer that, No. I won't answer that, Letison, because I don't want to answer that. For what reason? Because I'll discuss that. Don't worry. Yes, you're right. We can do that. Anyhow, I can do another thing. I can say, okay, for H2 selector, I can give another rule. I say color green, background color. Exactly. It will have all the whatever H1 number of H1s will be there. Let me just put another H1 over here. Right now, it will just implement it on every H1 which is there. You see here, Deep, it will be for every H1 because I have just given a generic one. Wherever you find H1 in my document, just change its color to blue and background color. Oh my God, this Sagan and Letison, they should be taken to maybe next semester, semester 5, semester 6, semester 8, semester 10. Both of them should be given over there. My dear friends, I will definitely discuss this class attribute. You know about class attribute and ID attributes. Those who don't know, they will get confused. Second, are you getting my point? And that's the same thing I will request to Letison as well. Please be, bear with my speech, because again, I know that you guys know a lots of things, but again, those who don't know, they will just get confused. Okay, so there are different P's as well. So if I say paragraph, And whenever paragraph is there, color should be yellow. And background color, red. Forget about background color. Oh, yellow is very bad. So let's make it, maybe the text should be red for the paragraph. And maybe I can say font size, font dash size, make it 20 pixel, right? So for 20 pixel, it's a big one. I can say 30 pixel. You see, it will be a more big one. Hengi, I will reply that. Hengi, I've just, I would like you guys to just, understand a thing. I have started a topic. I would definitely come to this one. These are some, don't you feel, Hengi, that this is a question that should be addressed shortly, because I have not discussed class right now. No problems, Sagin. It's not about sorry. It's something that you should keep in mind. And explain the blurring in another heading section. Oh, it's not a blurring. It's just the text color, which is very bad. I'll show you. It's not a blurring. Yeah, it's just the text, bad text color. You see here? Now there is no blurring. Okay. So Hengi, do you get my answer? I will definitely discuss that. I have not discussed the class right now. I have not discussed the thing, so I'll definitely come to that. And after my discussion, if you still find that I have not discussed, please ask that. But again, before I have discussed, of course, this will be. Anyhow, so this is called selector, and this is called the rule, which is followed by this one. So selector and rules. Now let's talk about this one, that we write H1 and we just give some selector and some. Now where to put CSS? This is very important question. This is just a just-in-time compilation, and we're just checking it over here. But now I would like to. Now I'd like to show you where you can include that. So I created a document, index.html and style.css, style.css, which was in style. But for you guys again, which I am usually used to of doing, I'll create a file and I'll call it july5.html for purpose, and I'll just take it out over here. Right, and in styles, I will define a style with the same name. July5.css, right? Oh, what CSS? I'm not talked about that CSS. I'll talk about that. So I'll just remove that. So I just created a new file, july5.html, and I'll tell you where we can just embed style. So I'll just cook up my HTML, and I will say CSS with NEE section, right? So you should remember. Okay, exactly, yes. Sure, we can change anything you want, anything you can change, right? And I will tell you that how to change the font as well, right? The font type as well. Should you understood? We can change the text, we can change the font type, we can bring the icons, we can do so many cool things. But anyhow, just okay. So I have a document. If I say H1 Seneca College, and let's take a paragraph. Not a paragraph. Let's take an H2 over here. And I say, for example, about us. And let's put a paragraph over here and put a lorem here, right? Put a lorem here and then put another H2, because I want to just, contact us. And let's put another lorem here in the paragraph. So I've got this one. I'll just run this document and I'll show you the different styling parts where we can just make a style of. So this is my document now running. Everyone understand that? Now, where can I put styles? Number one, I can put a style inline. Inline means the place where you are defining the tag, define the style over there. For example, I come to this H1 and I say style equal to, and here I will define the rule. How would I define the rule? Again, the color blue, right? And as I hit save, look at my document as I hit save. So I am saying that H1, this H1 should be, now if I do something like this, it will only affect that particular line. As someone asked a question that H1 will change everything, but right now I am defining the style with that typical tag. And if you are defining a style with a tag by itself, it means that will only be implemented on that one. Sure, does that make sense? It is called inline styling. So if I come over here and I say paragraph and I say style equal to, and again, just change the color here again. I'll just keep on changing the color because I want you to understand the concept rather than anything else. So if I say, okay, it has changed that one, and I can do one more thing. I can say, font size, and I can say, for example, 20 pixel, and I can just do that as well. If I hit save, you see the paragraph, only this paragraph font size has changed to 20 pixel or something like that. Make sense? When the style is defined within the tag. Yeah, exactly. So, there are lots of, and we'll talk. I think Letisan will talk about that, right? I'll talk about that when we'll be discussing that one. Okay, so this is font size and it's 20 pixels right now. So it's just, I don't know why the thing that I'm trying to explain. If you understand that, please bear with me. And again, for the sake of other students who are looking in for the first time, bear with me, wait for the answer, wait for right now, what I'm trying to make you explain, Letisan, can you tell me what we are explaining right now? Are we discussing that what is the font size unit that we can use? Not even CSS styling. We are just talking about where we put CSS style. We are not talking about what are the styles, what are the properties, right? Anyhow, so we can define a style within that one, and this type of styling is called inline styling. Inline styling, right? So when you define style, and the other type is internal or embedded. This is very interesting. Internal embedded means that the one that I did today in the document. If I come over here in the top, in the head section, and I say style tag, and again, I'll define the rule like the same as I talked about before. So I say color green and background color, maybe a light shade of this color, something like that. If I just do that and I hit save, do you notice something? My H1 does not have a color of green. Rather, it has a color of blue. Are you understanding that? Of course, the inline style will override this style because it is coming from the head. Something that is coming from the head is called internal or embedded when we define style in the head section. Is this making sense to others? Everyone? So embedded style means internal embedded. We define style in the head. But do you see that whatever was defined, it has been overridden? And whatever was not defined, it has just got a value. Right? So it means that we can define style over here. If I come over here and if I say paragraph, a general paragraph I'm saying, right? So if I say color red, if I hit save, you see only this one has gone red. And why? Why? Because this paragraph has an internal style which says that it has to be green. So it will not adapt that style. Inline takes priority. Yes, you're right. Inline takes priority. You're right. Right? Inline will take the priority. Anyhow, so this is called internal style sheet. What is internal style sheet? When we have internal style, when we have embedded or internal, when we define the head, the style in the head. What is the third type? That is called external file, which is very interesting. External file means I have defined one style.css. I have just a folder you can create anywhere. If I create and I call it july5.css, I can create a CSS file and I can give styles into that one. H1 color, and for example, I say yellow green, and background color equal to maybe a lighter one, wheat color, something like that. If I hit save, okay, now I have created a file, but I have not connected it with this one, link.this one, right? So I'll come over here, and after this style, I'll come over here and I'll link that. Link, yes, that matters. Letisan, I'll talk about that. That matters. href is equal to, now I have a folder called styles. Inside that, July 5 I want to connect to, right? July5.css. Now I have connected that one. July 5 has H. So, but you see that July 5 is giving a color yellow, green, and wheat. But what happens is that this external file, So again, this internal one is typically, you know, overtaking most of the styles over there from that. You know what I mean? It is just saying because external. So if I just take away this style from this one, H1, first of all, if I take away this one and I hit refresh, so I have now this one, and let me just change this beat from something else, because you know it's not really showing effect. You see that now the background color is coming from this one, because H1 style is not given. The background color is coming from the style, but the color, the forward color, the foreground color is basically just over there. And as you say, Latisan, yes, it really matters sometimes, because you know if you put it after the style sheet, it might be not pure. So overriding is done in the sequence one in this HTML document, in the way they have been they have been just mentioned over there. You know what I mean? So basically, if I just take away this font size and all this from here, I have just two paragraphs with red color. And if I come over here and I give something to P over here, color brown, for example. Now you see that. Okay, now it's just showing that brown. Okay, just give me a second. Oh yeah, so it's here. So you see here that even though my July5.css is saying that it should be brown color, but if you come over here and then let's change this red to something else, because not making any effect over here. Now it is just changing this text over there. Why? Even though this is why? Because Latisan, as you asked, that this is typically the style is taking over from that. Why? Because the position. If I just take it from this part to the top of this link, let's see what is happening now. Latisan, you understand what is happening? Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. If you put not, it will override any other entry. Exactly. Yes, not means it's a sign of exclamation. You are right. If you put anywhere this one, it will just override everything. You are right. And we usually do not use that second. You are right, but we usually do not use that. And it represents importance. Importance about that one. Second, you know what I mean? So it represents the importance, but we usually do not do that. Now, if someone is asking, Latisan is asking, what is the priority? Just don't worry about the priority over here. Priority is typically something which is called specificity. Do you see that specificity? 001. If you see 001, and in the same way, this specificity has something to do with over here, which it is not showing. Generally speaking, internal will override the external one, and the inline will overtake the internal one. You know what I mean? In that proper sequence, given sequence. Okay. So this is the second type of styling. Third type of styling, external file. And by the way, we can have any number of CSS files over here. As you know, we have right now only one file. And you remember, I can just take the water CSS that you have used already. If I just take the water CSS over here, and I copied this one, and I come over here and I say, for example, link, and I give this link over there. Oh, it was all by itself. Sorry. I'll just paste that over here, Control S, and now you see my document. You see, whatever is not found, it has been overwritten. The text is overwritten, the font is overwritten. And as someone was asking, can we change the text of that one? So listen, and I'll tell you all those properties in the coming classes. But font family is equal to, you can change font family, any font family from here if you want. You can implement any of the font family over here. For example, you say Georgia or something. So now the font has changed or whatever. And we can just bring the internet font as well. There are lots of internet fonts that we can just bring over here. So you can say, for example, Lucida Sans, for example, if you want to do that. So you see that font changes over there. Who was asking about the font changes? So they can just see that, okay, how the fonts and font family can be changed. It's called font family. Okay, so these are the three places where we can just use that. The number 4 is browser itself. By the way, every browser has a default style sheet. Chrome default CSS style sheet. If I just go over there, it should be in the GitHub. This is Chrome's default style sheet. And I'll tell you very interesting thing. If I find an H1 over here, you see this H1 is represented like this with these properties. So again, if I just do not introduce any of the CSS on my document, in my July 5, if I just take away all the styles, I just take away all the style sheets from here. For a second, there is no style sheet attached. And there is this color is coming. And of course, it's coming from the inline style. I'll delete that. So even this time, there is a style sheet being implemented. And that's the Chrome's default style sheet. You understand what I mean? So it has not only Chrome, Firefox also has a default style sheet. Firefox default style sheet. I'll show you. Maybe I can show that one as well to you. Default. So you see here that this one is basically the default style sheet for the I'll just take it out and I'll show you here. So I'll show you if I find an H1 over here. So H1, you see that the Chrome represents H1 like this, and the Firefox represents like this. And we have not talked about these properties, so don't worry about that. But I'm just telling you the fourth way is the browser also implements some style. So right now, browser has implemented some style, but they are so bad, I'd say dried up. We never really appreciate that border, or like the browser also implements some style. You know what I mean? So typically speaking, it's basically that the browser also has some styling. So I'm just making them uncomment, and now my document will have all the stylings over there. Nathan, you got it, and everyone got it. That the fourth one is the style given by the browser. Yes, again, we can have access to that one, but we cannot, of course, change that. We cannot implement that because it's the browser's default, and we cannot do much with it. Romar says it's clear. That's wonderful. Now there comes another concept of tag selectors. So CSS selectors. So CSS selectors are of different kinds. One of them is tag selector. I will again go back to. Yeah, exactly. Define different style. Yeah. I'm talking about that. CSS selectors. So I'll again go back to my code pen, and I'll again back to my coding. And now, Shun, you have this question, and definitely you'll get the answer. See here. If I have an H1 over here, and I have a paragraph over here, I have an H1, another H1 over here, and I have some text over here. Right, so I've got these two kind of things. So the first type of selector that we have already used is basically called H1. If I just do H1, it is basically implemented to everything. You see, all H1 will become red. But as you are asking Chun the question, so first of all, this is called the tag selector. So tag selector means just take the tag and implement some style on that one. You know what I mean? So all P will become green. What is the second type of selector, which is called class selector? This is very interesting. I create, rather than applying the style to H1 and P, I create a class. To create a class, we use a dot. So I create a class with demo, for example, and I say color should be red. So I just created a class, and I say font size should be, for example, 30 pixels, something like that. So I've created a class. Now, I can call this class in any of the element, and that element will adopt the style defined in that class. What does that mean? If I come to this paragraph and I say class equal to demo, no dot here. Dot is only used when you are defining the class, right? So demo, you see that my paragraph has gone red and it has gone to font size 30 pixels. I can do that with H1 as well. Class equal to demo. Class equal to demo. So you see that my H1 also, this H1 has also gone to that one. Shouldn't you get the answer? Now this H1 looks like different, this H1 looks like different. Because it has a class, it does not have a class. Shouldn't, did you get it? But why have the bold? Why it has bold? Because, because this is H1, still it is an H1. Okay. It's an H1. Listen, try to understand. This by isn't a bold by default. You remember the browser is also implementing a bold. So this is bold because some of the styles that have not been defined, it will definitely be overridden, and they will be there. So it's a H1. Yeah, exactly. We can just do that. We can just do that. Font. Yeah, exactly. It is not defined. Rather, font weight. Another there is one more which is called font weight. So, for example, if I say font weight 100, there is a font weight 100 thing. You see that now it has gone much smaller. Font weight is there. Font decoration is there. Full outer join, but override. But yeah, exactly. Yes. So whatever is there, it will just override that one. But whatever is not there, it will just adopt from this previous property. So this is called class selector. I can create another class and I can say, so someone asked in the morning, someone asked a question. So I create another class which may be called as my style. For example, I'm creating another class, my style, and I say color green, background color light gray, something like that, and font size is 40 pixels, something like that. I have created another class, my style. Now I can implement this class, my style, to anything. I can just come over here and I say class equal to my style. You see the next text has gone 40 pixel size and this one. Now someone asked that can we apply multiple classes? Yes, we can come to this demo over here and I will say my style. Just with a space, I will give my style. If I give my style also, you see that now it has implemented both of the classes. And now in sequence, if you see, because demo is the first one, it changes to red and then it changes to green. How many of you understand that one? This overrides that one. Okay, Deep, that's a good question. If I do that, if I do my style, space demo. So see, it makes no difference. When it will make difference, Deep? No, no. It will, Deep, it will make difference now. If I just take this class on the top. Now you see the text is red. Deep, you understand that one? Because in this sequence, it always goes in sequence in like that. Okay, someone asked a question that was, one question Hengi is asking, if the sequence of the class matters the style when the element has the inline element. Okay, remember, inline element always overrides most of the styling and everything. Just remember that one thing. If I come over here and if I say style equal to, and what has been defined in my style? Color. So if I say color blue. If I just do that, you see that, are you understanding that, Hengi? That inline will take over everything. Inline is basically, it overrides everything. It even not allowing the style class as well. Hengi, got the answer? This is good. Just ask a question and go away. Yeah, it can have my style in span as well. So let me just show you. This is some text. Rather, I'll say I'll do that something that you are doing. Span class is equal to, for example, my style. This is some important. Span closed and paragraph closed. Now if you see here, so if you see here that this is some important, so you see that only that has my style applied. I don't know, Hengi, you got the answer. So it has that important style apply and it has just overridden all the previous things. So you see that important is observed over here. Hengi, got the answer? Okay. Daniel says, can we make like the pictures changing with the interval, making an interval to change the color and maybe make, oh yeah. That's definitely, Okay. Since you have asked this question, I'll give you a very interesting thing over there. In our previous document, you are talking about that. I'll give you, I'll go back to my previous folder and I'll show you something. Since who has asked this? Daniel has asked this question. Daniel, I'm going back to my week 7 folder and I'll show you something. So for example, I will say, okay, I'll just run this July 5 document for you because I would like to show you that. So it was our document over July 5, which is just changing that one. Now I would like to implement a very interesting thing over here in my July 5 style sheet, not style sheet, JavaScript file. In my JavaScript file, I come over here and I say, for example, I create a variable called interval. I just create a variable called interval and I say set interval and I say set color. I will make a function set color. Remember, whenever you are passing a function as a parameter, never give, you are not required to give the function parameters. So I just defined an interval with this set interval and it will just produce an interval, because here I'll tell you that how to delete the interval as well. So I just created an interval and now let's do something. Var body equal to document.body, right? And now see what I'm doing. I'm saying body dot style dot background color. Now listen about that. When you are writing this background color in JavaScript, it does not use the kebab case. It uses the the camel casing. You know what I mean? So I'm saying body dot style dot background color equal to, for example, first of all, just let's give it a solid one. So green. Change the body dot background color to this one. First of all, right? So I've not created this set color function till now. I'm just saying that, like, it understands the body color and changes to the document.body. Okay. What do you know document body? Oh, okay. Sorry. What I'll do is, I'll just I'll cut that and I'll create a function. Function set color. And in that set color function, the body, I'll say first of all, get the body and set the body of the background color is green. Now, rather than putting it green, let's put a very interesting thing over here. Set is equal to, set it to equal to body dot style dot background color, and check this one. If it is, for example, yellow, right? Question mark. Convert it into pink, for example, or no, pink will look bad. Convert it to red, and if it is not, just keep it yellow. Now see here, I'll show you. I'm saying that, you just do that. After every 2 seconds, just go and check the background color. If the background color is yellow, convert it to red. You see what I mean? So after 2 seconds, this function is running, but again, it will keep on running for life because it will never stop. Now, I want to stop it at some point of time. So I'll say, okay, set timeout. I'm just running a set timeout, and you'll see that what interesting thing I'm saying. Set timeout, and I'm saying that call another function stop color. So stop color. And after, for example, 10 seconds, 10,000 milliseconds. And now let's create this function stop color. What the stop color will do, it will clear the interval. Clear interval. Which one that I have created? Interval, right? And just do that. After 10 seconds, just call this a stop color, and stop color will remove that one. So you see, for 10 seconds, it will keep on changing the backgrounds. After 10 seconds, it will stop at a particular point. You see, now it has stopped. Yes, Letizan, you are right. If you want to make it, a disco something, you can just see that. What do you say? 200. Let's make it 300, for example. This is for the pictures, right? And now what about this one? For this one, we can just do that. Lecithin can only think about this kind of things, right? Right, so you can just do that. So set timeout will just do what? Clear interval. After 10 seconds, this will go away. And for 10 seconds, it will just keep on changing the background colors. You see, for 10 seconds, because I have set up the time interval, like function stop color I have called after 10 seconds. Yes, Daniel, it's very cool. You're right. Okay, yeah, just wanted to show you this, and of course you have got this one, and you can just understand this. I'll go back to my week 9. Okay, so we have talked about some, like, we have just talked about the class selector. So class select, oh, I was just talking about that class selector. I don't know why we moved over here. Anyhow, this was the class selector, right? And then there is an ID selector as well. So if I just remove all these classes over here, so just leave that over there. So I want, and so since I have given this style over here, so it's just giving a blue, I'll just remove that one. If I give an ID to particular area, so for example, as you say, that's span. In span, rather than giving a class, if I give it an ID, and also I give it an ID is equal to, for example, first. If you want to style an ID, you will use a hash first. But remember, ID should be only single one on the page. So hash first color green, font size 50 pixel. You see that this ID is working. So if you define ID style for ID, you have to use the hash. But remember, ID can only give style to one area, one thing, while as class can give style to multiple areas, multiple things. Daniel, does that make sense? ID will be only single for something. No, yeah. Deep, we can give same class to multiple things, but we cannot give same ID. By the way, HTML might does not dislike this one. If I come over here and I say ID is equal to first, interestingly, it might accept that. You see, it is doing that, but it's not a good practice. You remember I showed you HTML validator. Did I show you HTML validators in one of the class of HTML validator? If you use multiple text, like with same ID, it will say that you are doing the wrong thing. You cannot define two IDs. Make sense, Daniel? Oh, Deep. So Deep, you were asking that can give it two tags. Yes, we can. We cannot give that to two tags over there. Okay, this is the other one, the ID. So tag selector, class selector, ID selector, and then we have contextual selector. This is very interesting. Contextual selector. I'll just give you an example for contextual selector over here. If I say div over here and I close this div inside there, I have this one div, and this is just the div, and I'm just taking this first away for the time being. Now, if I say H1 color red, you will see that all H1 will become red, right? But now, if I come over here and I give a space and I just write div space H1, see the output in the bottom, div space H1. Deep, do you understand what has happened? It is called contextual selection. Only the H1 which is coming inside div should be colored red. Only this one, right? And if I say, for example, if I say P paragraph and I say background color is equal to, for example, blue, the text will have, the paragraph will have the background color blue, and let's make the color white as well, so the text is visible. So text is white, but anyhow, what I say that if I say no, not all the P, but only the P which is inside div. Yeah, Deep, you're right. So this is called contextual selector. And now comes the something which Letithan was asking. We can combine selectors as well. So we can have grouping selectors. How can we group selectors? If I come over here and if I say H1, H2, H3, whenever these three comes, their background or their text decoration, there is one another attribute, and we'll talk about this attribute, don't worry. Text decoration should become underlined. So whenever they come, they should have underlined. So if H1 you write, H2 you write, H3 you write, and they all have will text decoration underlined. They can have a different color as well. You can say color should be green for all of them. So H1, H2, and H3, they should become the green color. But the problem is, again, because this H1 has this, this contextual selection, so it is just taking this one red from here, because when you will see that the specificity will be more higher for that one, H1. Any way to force uppercase using HTML for the headers? Any way to force uppercase using HTML for the header? I'm not understanding your question. Can you rephrase that? Force uppercase using. No. Letison, can you unmute yourself? Maybe, I don't know.
Hey, sir, I was wondering if you can make it so all the titles are all capitalized.
Oh, I see. For that, what you need to do. For that, you will have to take help from the yes, CSS also has introduced some of the attributes. I don't exactly know, but you can just do that by using a JavaScript, or I'll have to just check that which property makes it uppercase. I'll just have to check. CSS3 uppercase text. It'll just tell me. I don't exactly know. Oh yeah, this is text transform, right? The text transform property. So you see here, I knew it about it, but I forgot about it. So text dash transform capitalize, right? So I'll just copy this one, and we can go to our code pen again. And thank you very much again for reminding that to me, because I did not have that in my mind. So text transform capitalize, it should do that, which is not doing for H1, H2, H3, and why it is not doing. Let me check with putting it in one of the contextual one. No, it's not. Text dash transform capitalize uppercase. Oh yeah, uppercase is working. Why it's text transform? Oh, so it really it maybe just works for different ones. Capitalize uppercase, lowercase, something like that. So yes, so CSS also has these features over here. Right. So now here also it will work for the uppercase. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'll just cover this much, and I hope you understand that this will be a very interesting one. The second part of this lecture will be a very interesting one, because I will talk about all these units that we are using. I'll talk about lots of properties. I will talk about lots of new features of CSS. So I would really be happy to see all of you on Friday's lecture if you want. Like Friday's 5 p.m. lecture. If you can join that lecture, that will be a quite a beneficial lecture for you, all of you. Any questions? That's why, if you have any other thing to discuss, again, I have already told you about by Friday, that Friday morning I'll be available. You just shoot a message on the team and I'll be available, and we can have a discussion on over there. Yes, of course I will. Okay, Deep, thank you. Second, I'm talking about Friday. Henji, you can ask me on Friday, because it will be due after the Friday, right? So you can just do that. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy your day, and see you later on.